Grand Admiral Selvar hated silence. Yet the bridge of the Imperial flagship was so quiet he could hear the air filters hum. Out beyond the main viewport, human space looked like any other patch of stars, cold, distant, harmless. Range to border beacon? Selvar asked. 3 light minutes, sir, the sensor chief replied. No contacts. Their system is empty. Empty. That was the word the council loved. Humanity beaten, fleets broken, colonies bombed. The Empire had pushed them back to this last pocket of space and now came to finish the work. Selvar's second, Vero, shifted uneasily. Sir, I still don't like this. Humans don't vanish. They scheme. Fear makes you see ghosts, Selvar said, though his own stomach felt tight. We destroyed their last major shipyard 4 years ago. What are they going to fight us with? Memories? A few officers chuckled, but it sounded forced. Then the lights dimmed. Every status display flickered for half a second. Not long, barely more than a blink, but the entire crew felt it. Power never flickered on an Imperial dreadnought. Report, Selvar snapped. No internal fault, engineering replied. Source is external. Some kind of localized space-time disturbance. Very small, very close. On the main screen, one star winked out, like someone had drawn a black line across it. The line widened, folded, and became a dark, knife-shaped shadow, wrong against the stars. New contact, the sensor chief shouted. Right ahead. It wasn't there a moment ago. How big? Selvar asked. A pause. Sir, comparable to our own flagship. Energy readings are... I've never seen numbers like this. Vero whispered. They said the last human capital ship died at Vega. Selvar watched the shadow grow sharper, lightning-like arcs dancing along its hull. Then what, he said quietly, is that? The shadow finished forming, and the stars behind it snapped back into place, warped around its hull as if light itself needed time to understand what had arrived. The human ship was black, not the dull gray of Imperial steel but a hungry darkness that swallowed reflections. Red lines pulsed faintly across its surface, like veins under skin. No transponder, no identification, just a silent, watching presence. Open a channel, Selvar ordered. Standard Imperial. Channel open, Admiral, comms replied. They're receiving. This is Grand Admiral Selvar of the Galactic Empire, he said, voice steady. Identify your vessel and surrender your command codes. Humanity has no recognized warships in this sector. Silence. Then, a voice came through the speakers. Calm. Warm. Human. Good evening, Admiral. This is Captain Leah Grant of the Terran vessel Oblivion. Sorry about the lights. Cloak transitions make a mess of your sensors. Vero stared. Terran vessel? That class name doesn't match any file. Selvar gestured. The intelligence officer pulled up ancient records, his face draining of color. Sir, last reference to Project Oblivion is marked red tier sealed. Council eyes only. Leah continued, as if she could sense their confusion. You were told we were all gone. It was easier that way, I suppose. Fewer questions about what you did. Fewer witnesses. A low murmur rippled through the bridge crew. Selvar cut it off with a glare. Captain Grant, your species stands under Imperial judgment for repeated violations of galactic law. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. A soft laugh crackled through the channel. You crossed half the galaxy to corner a wounded animal, Admiral. You didn't ask what happens if the animal stops running. On the view screen, faint shapes slid out from the Oblivion's flanks. Smaller craft, tight formation, silent as knives. The Empire wanted us erased, Leah said. You should have finished the job. No one on the bridge breathed as the smaller human craft spread out in a wide arc. They weren't standard fighters. Their profiles were wrong, too smooth, too compact, like every surface had a hidden purpose. Estimate their armament, Selvar said. We can't, the weapons officer muttered. They're jamming our spectral analysis. It's like trying to scan smoke. Target the flagship, Selvar decided. Maximum barrage. We end this now. Turret banks rotated. Missile ports opened. The flag dreadnought had enough firepower to crack a moon. The rest of the Imperial formation aligned, hundreds of ships locking onto a single target. Fire! Space lit up. Lances of brilliant energy and swarms of guided warheads filled the void, converging on the oblivion. It should have been overwhelming. No ship could survive that. The human warship moved. It didn't dodge in the way Selvar knew. It twisted space around itself, edges blurring, turning into a smear of darkness that seemed to slide sideways out of reality. Beams passed through empty coordinates. Missiles lost lock and spun off into the dark. Only 3 shots struck home. The ones that hit didn't explode. They vanished, swallowed by a shimmering skin that flashed once and then went calm, like stones dropping into deep water. Direct hits with no effect, the sensor chief whispered. Their defense grid, it absorbed the impact profile and rewrote it. I don't understand. Leah's voice returned, almost gentle. You aren't the first to shoot at us. You're just the loudest. The smaller human craft surged forward. The first wave reached the outer layer of the Imperial fleet and fired. There were no pretty beams, no bright explosions. Just sudden absence. Ships blinked out of existence in perfect circles, erased from bow to stern, leaving behind only fading halos of disturbed starlight. Vero gripped the railing. Sir, they're cutting pieces out of space. For the first time in years, Selvar felt something like real fear. The Imperial formation broke. It happened in seconds. Perfect lines dissolved into frantic maneuvers as captains shouted conflicting orders. Some tried to pull back. Others charged in, desperate for a closer shot. No one had trained for enemies that could simply remove ships from reality. Hold the line, Selvar roared. All vessels, regroup on my vector. Focus fire on the enemy escorts. Overload your reactors if you must. I want that warship tested to its limit. Yes, Admiral. On the tactical display, fragments of the fleet began to reform around the flagship. It was something. Not enough, but something. Leah cut back in. You still think this is about killing you, don't you? Selvar barked a harsh laugh. What else could it be? The human captain didn't answer. Instead, a visual feed appeared beside the tactical map, unrequested. A live image, a human bridge, not clean and polished like Imperial design. Everything on Oblivion looked worn, patched, lived in. People moved with tired purpose. Coffee mugs strapped to consoles. Someone's faded photograph taped near a display. At the center stood Leah Grant. Dark hair tied back, eyes ringed with exhaustion, uniform unbuttoned at the throat. She looked more like a ship mechanic than a legend. You bombed our evacuation convoys, she said quietly. Not in open battle. Not in fair combat. You hit them after they sent surrender codes. Refugees. Children. You called it preventing future resistance. The bridge around Selvar froze. He remembered the orders years ago. He remembered signing the authorization and locking that memory away. This ship, Leah continued, resting a hand on the console beside her, was built in secret because your council feared what humanity might become. They were right to be afraid, just not for the reasons they thought. She raised her eyes to the viewport, as if looking directly at Selvar. We're not here to repeat your cruelty, she said. We're here to make sure no one forgets it. The battle shifted. Human craft stopped erasing ships at random. Their strikes became surgical. Engines disappeared, leaving hulls drifting, powerless but intact. Weapon arrays were sliced cleanly away while life support systems remained untouched. Sir, they're sparing us, Vero said, stunned. They could kill everyone. They're choosing not to. Selvar watched another cruiser lose its main guns and then fall silent, crew scrambling in confusion. They're humiliating us, he replied. It's worse. Leah's voice returned, softer now. We learned something in the dark while you were burning our worlds. We learned how small the galaxy really is, how fragile, how stupid it is to throw lives away just to feel powerful. Her image feed shifted to show a map, three-dimensional, filled with colored threads. Imperial space, human space, neutral zones. Beyond all of it, faint lines leading outward. Out there, she said. We found things older than your empire, older than our sun. Things that don't care about thrones or borders. Predators that look at your mighty armadas the way you look at sparks from a fire. Selvar frowned. You're lying. I wish I were. Leah hesitated, then let the weariness show on her face. We didn't come back to reclaim territory. We came back because if you keep wasting fleets on petty wars, there won't be anyone left when the real threat arrives. On the Imperial bridge, an uneasy silence settled. Vero cleared his throat. Admiral, if what she says is true then, Selvar cut him off. And if it's a trick? A story to break morale and force us to kneel? Humans have always been good at stories. Leah seemed to hear him anyway. Believe me or don't, but understand this, Selvar. Even if you destroy us today, you won't survive what's coming. We did the math while we were hiding from you. The star map zoomed in, highlighting the Imperial core systems. Your empire, she said, will be first on their menu. The flagship shuddered. Not from an attack, but from the weight of a choice settling over everyone on board. Officers stared at their consoles without really seeing them. Gun crews waited for orders that refused to come. Selvar stood very still. In his mind, he saw the evacuation convoys again. The cold wording of the order. The reports afterward carefully cleaned of details. He had been loyal, efficient, a perfect instrument of Imperial will. Now that same empire sat helpless before a single human ship that refused to finish the kill. Admiral, Vero said quietly, if even half of what she claims is real, we need them more than they need us. Selvar's hands clenched behind his back. You're suggesting surrender. I'm suggesting survival, Vero replied. And atonement, if such a thing exists for people like us. The word hung between them, regret. On the main screen, the Oblivion held its position, weapons idle. Human escorts formed a loose perimeter, careful, measured, never crossing a certain invisible line. Leah spoke once more. Last offer, Admiral. Power down your weapons. Transmit a ceasefire to every Imperial ship in this sector, and I'll stand down. We'll talk. We'll share what we know. You'll hate every second of it, but your people will live. And if I refuse? Selvar asked. Then I keep dismantling your fleet until you don't have the strength to hurt anyone else. Either way, the days of the Galactic Empire doing whatever it wants are over. Selvar looked at his crew. Some wouldn't meet his eyes. Others stared back with quiet hope that felt like accusation. Slowly, with a hand that trembled just once, he keyed the command. All ships, he said, voice low but clear. This is Grand Admiral Selvar. Cease fire. Power down weapons. Prepare to receive human coordinates for negotiations. A long pause, then Leah's gentle exhale over the comm. For what it's worth, Admiral. That was the bravest shot you've taken today. Out beyond the viewport, the unknown human warship dimmed its weapons and drifted closer, not as an executioner, but as something far more dangerous to an empire built on fear. A second chance.